Benjamin, first of all, let's reflect on the Senior Bowl. You were one of the players who earned extremely positive reviews for your performance. So, what was that week in Mobile like?
So yeah, I mean, it was kind of like a last minute call for me. I was gonna go actually to the Hula Bowl a couple days before going to the Senior Bowl. I accepted my invite to go to Hula Bowl. I shipped all my football equipment to go to Hawaii, and then Jim Nagy, the director of the Senior Bowl, called me a couple of days before, and it was like, "Hey, do you want to come down here to the Senior Bowl and like, you know what I'm saying, playing a bowl game?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, fine, all that stuff." Ship all my stuff back from Hawaii back to Mobile, Alabama, and get down there. And I was just happy. I was honored to get an opportunity to compete with some of the best players in the draft class, and I was going to go down there to showcase my talent, show scouts, show NFL teams and other coaches, that I'm a top notch corner, defensive back, and I think that's what I did during the whole week. I just had that chip on my shoulder, trying to improve every day, trying to get better, and just showcase my talent so I can boost my draft stocks up.
It's incredible, isn't it, how opportunities can emerge, quite like that, because I had no idea that you were a late call up. And I'm going to play a couple of clips in a moment from the Senior Bowl. And
Mhm.
with the way that you played, you'd have assumed that you would have been one of the first people to get a call. You get that opportunity, you take full advantage of it. And that can be a big moment, can't it? Sort of little things like that can really boost a player's stock going into a draft.
Yeah, definitely. I was pushing for me and my agent was pushing for that invite during the whole season. I was very close to having it earlier during the year in 2020, but then COVID hit and it impacted our team and we missed some games. I missed some games, so I kind of fell down the list and stuff like that. But anyway, late invite or early invite, I ended up getting the invite and I did the best. I took full chance, full opportunity of what I got. And then yeah, I'm happy with the result.
Now, as a former Vancouverite, I told you that I used to live in Vancouver. I want to ask you about Canada. You're from
Yeah.
Montreal. Do you have
Mhm.
a lot of pride in your Canadian roots?
Oh yeah, definitely. I used to. It's weird though because I grew up my whole life in Montreal and Toronto in Canada, and when you're there, like it's just like it's a regular day. It's a regular just being Canadian, doing regular things. But when you go to the U.S. and you become a minority, and you only maybe the only Canadian one or two, then you become super proud and like everything is great about Canada, and you defend Canada every day, and then I rep it all the time. I rep where I'm from, so ever since I enrolled in college here in 2017, I've been in the States. Like I always put, Canada on my back and trying to rep where I'm from.
Are you a hockey fan?
Yeah, definitely. My first sport was hockey. So I played until I was 14.
Now, I read somewhere that you didn't learn to speak English until you were a teenager. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, I didn't fully so I knew a couple of sentences like how to understand it, but I never fully spoke like correct English until I was 17. My native language is French.
So, what do you think it says about you that you learn a new language at the age of 17, then you graduate in 2 years with a bachelor's degree in sports management at Michigan? Then
Yeah.
2 years later, you've got a master's degree,
Hmm.
and you're on the academic All Big Ten in 2020 as well. What does that say about that's quite a lot to achieve in a short space of time?
Yeah, well, it says that like, I have a specific set of goals and I will achieve it. And I do it pretty fast because I'm a fast learner and I work hard. I dedicate myself to my craft and my grind and whatever. It could be on the field or off the field, the same way that I learn super fast in the classroom and I'm able to graduate fast. I take all those skills and knowledge and transfer it to the football field the same way that I learned the playbook or a new defensive scheme or how I analyze the offense and stuff like that. Those are just things that, I pride myself in. And I work hard at it.
You appeared on CNN in August calling for better NCAA protocols. When at the time I think there was a lot of confusion, a lot of mystery as to how the season was going to be able to go ahead. Obviously,
Yeah.
there was a back and forth as whether the Big Ten was even going to go ahead at the time. Did you take a lot of pride as well in being part of the movement which helped initiate some change there, where players were getting tested regularly, making the game safer? And are you conscious, and how much are you conscious of when you feel strongly about something, providing a voice for that and being part of something, a movement like that?
Yeah, definitely. And then And that wasn't even the start place of where we started that movement at. It that was when because the George Floyd incident, that the man who got murdered by the police, that was 5 minutes away from the campus where I play football at in Minneapolis. So when that happened, I felt like, it was with the position I have as a football player in the United States, like it's so big. We have a big audience, so we could talk about football all day, but let's talk about those social or racial injustice issues that we have right now, because we have the platform to do that. People are going to look up to us and talk, like, what I'm saying? They're going to look up to us and they're going to listen to what we have to say. So me and some of my other teammates at Michigan and other schools around the nation, we just started this group where we were able to give a voice to student athletes so they can talk about those issues. And it started with racial injustice, and then it moved on to making sure that, we're safe, student athletes are safe, football players are safe for the season. Because before the season started, before we had actually a plan and we started putting this petition in a letter, there wasn't no plan like in place. There wasn't no testing to every day. There wasn't no game suspension for games after that when you like test positive when you're on the list. There wasn't no test like MRI or EKG to make sure that your lungs or your heart is okay when you test positive for COVID to come back. There was none of that. So we had to make sure there was some sort of plan. So then there's nothing tragic that happened that, like, we go about the season and games getting canceled, guys get COVID and come back to the field and maybe die, that would have been like tragic. So we wanted to make sure that there was some sort of plan in place that we can look at it and say, okay, this makes sense. Even though we won't get a full schedule because certain games will be canceled, at least we'll be healthy and we'll be safe. So.
No, congratulations on that. It was a real positive movement, and you played a big part in it. I'm looking at your measurables. So 6'3.5", 200 pounds, 80.25-inch wingspan, 32-inch arms. What kind of advantages do you think you get when you have a frame like that playing at cornerback?
Well, obviously, press coverage is going to be I'm going to be very comfortable in my press coverage, and I'm going to have an advantage because at this point, I could line up a yard and a half, 2 yards off the receiver. And as soon as he makes a step or a move, I can still reach him with my long arms. A lot of those tight passes, it's it's an offensive game, so receivers and quarterback have a crazy communication and connection, so that the footballs come very fast. But with long arms, you can make up those plays, you can break up those passes, you can make up those interceptions maybe the shorter DBs can't make because it happens so quick. Or those red zone of jump balls or fade balls, in the end zone when they just throw it up because they know the corner is shorter. That's a little bit harder to do with me. Like, you might not complete that pass because I'm 6'3" and I can, I have a great vertical jump and I got long arms. So all those passes become very, very harder, like to throw and complete when you have a corner like me who's like tall and has a long wingspan.
Now, I want to take you back to Spark. I don't know if you remember this. You ran a pretty unbelievable 3.86 short shuttle.
Yeah.
Near 37-inch vertical. Your overall Spark score was a 123.72. If we were having a combine this year, how similar would your testing be to those numbers, would you say?
I would say better vertical jump, better broad jump, better 40, and I would say about the same in the short shuttle. I think I've been hitting consistently the 3.9, 3.89 around. I'm bigger now. I was about 190 in high school. Now I'm about 200, 205. So still got the same short shuttle speed, but I'll have a better score definitely because of my vertical jump went up, my broad jump, and my 40-yard dash time also.
Yeah, I'm just going to play this tape and share the screen with you in a second. But that short shuttle time, it just shows up time and you've got really quick feet and your closing speed, that short area agility. I mean, we can talk all day about your size and your length, but that recovery speed and that quickness and that short area is so important as well, isn't it?
Definitely. I mean, at 6'3", they're gonna look at you. They're gonna be like, can you move his hip? Can he be quick? Does he have quick feet? Because usually taller corners can't move like that. But that's something I pride myself in and working on my hip fluidity, my agility, my quick feet. So I always trying to work on it and make sure that I have it. I'm ahead of the curve. I'm one of those taller corners that can move like a 5'10", 5'11" corner.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share this screen so people can see some of what you did at the Senior Bowl and in college as well, because I think it's so impressive. So this is one of the snaps from the Senior Bowl. You're down here at the bottom of the screen, and that everybody's looking for this, aren't they? The corner that can stick on a downfield route against a quick receiver, and you can see you're step for step with him all of the way, and that long arm sticks out there and makes the play. I mean, this is, for a guy, there aren't many 6'3" corners who can do this, are there, Benjamin?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be 6'3", you got to be on the outside and be 6'3" like this. First of all, you got to be fast. You got to stick just like you said. You got to be right in the hip pocket of receiver and be able to follow him the whole way through. And then you got to be fast enough to not peek back too fast because he might be running another route. He might be stopping on a dime or running a comeback. So you got to make sure that he really runs a fade route. And then after that, it's up to, that natural ability to having long arms and reach out and swap the ball away.
Now, that's a downfield shot. This was during the game, and this is against a quicker receiver, shorter route, competitive, right there, and there's that arm length again showing up. I mean, this is a great range of plays that you're making here, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely using that range, making sure that I can stick in his hip. He's a quicker receiver, like you said, and arm length definitely helped on that one.
And I really like this play as well. This is the quick steps. You're right in with him there, and he's got nowhere to go. The quarterback really has he. I mean, if that throw is on the money, and you're there to make the play anyway.
Yeah. That's where the short shuttle, the lateral quickness, and the quick feet shows up when you got quicker receiver like that.
And just no stiffness as well. I mean, for taller cornerbacks, usually there can be some stiffness in that range, but that short shuttle really showing up here. And again, there's a lot of cornerbacks on this one here who might have been deceived. From that position there, he can come across, and so a lot of them can be flat-footed, but you recover very well and get in there and make a play on the ball. And people might talk about interceptions, Benjamin, and let's see some evidence of that. But often it's that pass breakup can be so. If that's a third down, that's a punting situation. You're getting the ball back for the offense.
Yep, definitely.
I mean, I think there was a lot of plays. I just took a selection really from the Senior Bowl, which really showed what you were capable of. And there were some good receivers there, wasn't there, in Mobile that you were competing against?
Yeah, definitely. They had some great receivers that'll go early in the draft. That'll probably go first, second, third round. So we had some great competition during the whole week.
Here in college, that late look. How often do you watch a game, Benjamin, where the cornerback doesn't turn around at the last minute and gets flagged, but you turn around, get the arm up there, big play against. That was Penn State. Is that Hamler who went in the second round?
KJ Hamler.
One of the better receivers from a year ago.
Definitely is a key thing to look back. Not only to play the ball, to have a chance to play the ball, but also not to get the flag, the pass interference. Usually the guys don't look back and they get called for pass interference. So you always got to look back to the ball.
I just love this as well. I mean, there's a cushion there. The ball's out on its way out at this point. The close, the play on the ball, the breakup. I've got to imagine that teams are going to look at that and think, this is definitely something we can work with here, especially with the size that you've got. And a lot of things, that it's not just about the coverage as well. And we're seeing some really good plays here of you breaking up passes, getting to the ball constantly, that arm getting out there and just getting a paw on the football to break it up. Another, good move by the receiver, but you recover, get in there, get that arm in there. What we're going to see a little bit later on, though, as well, is tackling, run defense. How much do you enjoy it? Because I've sort of seen a lot of plays on here where you'll go up and you'll lay a hit. I mean, this is it now. Taking on a block, shedding a block. That's an offensive lineman there. That one again. So that's a pulling. I think that's a pulling guard, isn't it? Who you are?
Yeah, pulling guard. Yeah,
and then making the tackle for a loss.
Yeah, my size is 6'3", 200-some pounds. You have to show up in the run game. You can't be scared to show up in the run game. A lot of people said that defensive back maybe are a little bit scared to be in the box or show up to make tackles. That's another thing I pride myself in. I'm a big corner, so I always show up in the run game. I had a lot of tackles last year and this year also, and I don't miss tackles. So when I come down, I wrap up. I have great techniques to tackle, and I like tackling. So it's part of the football games. That's what makes me a complete defensive back, because I like to tackle and like to cover also.
I think a lot of you're thinking, there's a chance here. This could get outside, but just great job to get off the offensive lineman there and make a tackle. And like I said, there's a few of these where, you'll get in there, lay a hit, bring somebody down. And I think that's almost like a forgot, you can read many scouting reports. We can talk about coverage and athletic traits, but that sort of that desire to put your head in there and make a tackle is so important, isn't it? And just a lot of plays where the ball just, when you're around the ball, it seems to come out. And, on the move here, a little bit of misdirection, maybe from a team, you've read it, you bring the guy down, and just a lot of good plays. I mean, how did you find your time at Minnesota? Because, we can see it all here, but how much did you enjoy that? How good was that experience for you?
It was amazing, to be honest. Minnesota program, especially with Coach Fleck, ever since he's been there, he really put a lot of effort and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that program to make it an amazing experience for athletes on and off the field. So ever since the first day I stepped foot on campus in 2019, he took care of me. Even though, I was a transfer, I wasn't even part of his recruiting class. I was a transfer from Michigan. He took care of me. He loved me the same way he loved the other players that he recruited. And then I had great experience with them on and off the field, in the classroom, doing community work, doing activities with my teammates, being a captain. And it's a real family. It's a real family environment. It's the type of school that, 5-10 years later, everybody, all the alums, all the older players come back to watch the games and to be at practice, because that's how tight and that's how great our experience was. That's how they take care of us. So you always come back and show love to your alma mater.
This is the last play, and I like this because this is against Seth Williams at Auburn. Now J.C. Horn, who's another cornerback in this class, is building a lot of first round talk off the back of his performance against this receiver. And yet, you're watching this, and this is what he did, in that game, was he got up there and competed with him in the red zone and in the end zone and broke up passes. And, I think we see exactly the same thing from you here. And this is the kind of thing that I guess teams will look at. You are coming up against some really good receivers. We had Hamler earlier. We've got Williams here as well. And just an awful lot of potential, a lot of good tape that and just been able to show a little bit of a flavor of it there for people who maybe haven't seen what you've done so far. Now, I wanted to finish off with a couple of other, quick questions here. How have you found sort of the meetings with teams? I think you had a chance to meet with teams at the Senior Bowl. Have you got onto the whole virtual meetings thing yet? And what has that been like? Because obviously this draft process is going to be very different than previous years, isn't it?
Yeah, so that was great. At the Senior Bowl, I had the chance to meet with all 32 NFL teams for 15 minutes. So for on Tuesdays and Thursday, on Tuesday we had 15 teams, and then on Thursday we had another 15 set of teams. And for 15 minutes, I was talking with each and every single team, and they were asking me a question about myself, where I come from, my style of play, if they're interested in me. Some people were asking questions on the defensive scheme. Some people had me draw on the board some X's and O's, and stuff. Some people had me watching films and stuff. So, I mean, I got a chance to talk with every single team, and I got a little feeling for who likes me, who maybe is less interested, and who will draft me or whatever. So that was great.
I was reading on social media an interview with somebody else where you mentioned three teams. I think you mentioned the Seahawks, the Niners, and the Steelers as teams you felt you had a great connection with. What was it in particular about those meetings that stood out that made you think, I've got a really good feel about maybe my fit with those three teams?
Well, honestly, it's like I think the 49ers, the Seahawks were my first two meetings. So that's the ones that I remember. That's why I mentioned that. But there's plenty of other teams. I think there was 12 or 15 of them that I had follow-up meetings the next week and the next days, and we talked, and they're interested in all that stuff. I just thought about those teams because I know that they have taller corners kind of like me. The Seahawks used to have Richard Sherman and Byron Maxwell and all that other stuff, and then 49ers actually have Richard Sherman at this point, and the Steelers, they're aggressive corners that can tackle and cover and play. No, just that's why I mentioned those teams. But no, it just I mean, when I did my 15 minutes interview, they looked very interested. They were asking a lot of questions. It looked like there was some mutual connection, and I liked the team, and they like my style of play. So that was that's why I mentioned them.
Final question: you're of an age whereby, as you were growing up and developing your football career, I suppose that like the LOB, for example, will have been, of real prominence within the NFL. Were you sort of motivated watching them? Were you inspired watching sort of those early years Seahawks teams under Pete Carroll that used those big cornerbacks, physical cornerbacks who play in exactly the way that you play with what we've just seen on that tape?
Yeah, definitely. Because when I was in high school back in, 2011, 2012 and stuff like that, 2013, there was one year, my sophomore year, I was a 5'9", 150-pound corner. And then the next year, the following year, in my junior year, I was a 6'3", 175 corner. And that was around that time where Richard Sherman was becoming, the number one corner in NFL. So me seeing him do so well and having the same type of size, and at that time, there wasn't that many corners that were that big like that was 6'3" and stuff like that. So it gave me some kind of hope and motivation to be like him and to be like those type of corners that can really like do well at that size. So yeah, I really looked up to the Seahawks legend of Boom, Hera, and all that stuff. So
yeah, that's quite a growth spurt from 5'9" to 6. I'm 6'4", and I was kind of 6'4" when I was like 14.
yeah,
It grew and then
I was,
stopped.
yeah, I was 5'9" at 15 years old, I think 14, 15. And then at 16 years old, I was 6'3". Yeah.
Wow. Well, listen, Benjamin, I think you're a great player. I think you've got a great future. You speak very well as well. I'm sure that teams are going to love you. I'm going to be interested to see whereabouts you land, because I think you're going to go a lot earlier than maybe some of these projections are saying. All the best with everything, and I hope you have a great NFL career.
Thank you, sir.